I had to give myself time after I finished all 12 episodes of Dandadan to really just take in what I had just seen. This series, let alone, considering watching it. When I first watched it, I was like, what the fuck am I getting myself into? And realistically, I genuinely enjoyed it. And I'm giving it no bad credit for how popular it is, because there's a reason it is. It shows so many different things that I would definitely love to talk about. For one, me as a new watcher knew nothing about the story. I genuinely did not know anything going into this anime. I thought it would just be a rom-com that I would just binge for a couple of hours and that was it. But the more I got into this series, the more crazy it got. I genuinely enjoyed all of the characters. They were all lovable, even including Jin, which is Momo's childhood friend. And he's very hyper, and usually those characters are very annoying. But I didn't find him to be annoying because he got along with Kin Takakura, and I had no problem with that. But God almighty, Seiko, the grandmother, she is one of a kind. When she was talking about her for the first time, it sounded almost like she was very heartwarming, so lovable, and just wanted to do the best for her grandchild. But no, that's not how she is. She's just straightforward, will tell you any kind of shit to just say, hey, you're doing this wrong, hey, you're not doing this right, blah blah blah, very straightforward. I mean, Shiratori was one of those characters that I genuinely hated in the beginning, because obviously you don't know much about her, but then you find out that she came from a family that was just her and her single mom that got wronged so hard. I would have said a fair spoiler warning in the beginning, but honestly, with my reviews of these anime, I give no spoiler warnings at this point, so if you do see me talking about an anime, you should just be expecting a spoiler. Shiratori's story with her mom, that entire episode, I don't remember which episode it was, but that entire episode really made me change my mind about that character and how I perceived that character. It was almost like I was reading the book rather than just the cover. How people say, don't judge a book by its cover. That's literally what I did in the beginning, and I was like, she's kind of basic. Really unique hairstyle Shiratori has. I really like that. But oh my gosh, the whole beginning arc with Turbo Granny, which honestly was freaking phenomenal. Even the name Turbo Granny just sounds very weird, but in a good way. All of the characters, especially like the yokai or the aliens, really has these weird names, and obviously, they're demons, and it's to be expected. But Turbo Granny's just so funny. You don't even know why they're called that until obviously you see that freaking old demon can freaking run at, I think, 140 miles. Pretty fast as a freaking bullet train in Japan. That's pretty insane. One of my favorite moments was definitely Shiratori's backstory with her mom, and is very subtle. When you see all the tragedy that her mom went through and still keeping this smile in her mind for her child so she could have a beautiful childhood, which doesn't end up happening. She gets bounced around, and I would assume the foster care system. Momo gets to see that and really feels for Shiratori, despite Shiratori still going at Ken for some reason that's never explained. It just goes to show that despite the difference in character personality, that didn't let them define how they would get along with one another. I love the opening to the series. At first I found it to be very weird, and I was like, oh, how am I gonna get into this? It didn't rub me the right way, because I was like foreign to it. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I legitimately thought this was gonna be a rom-com based on the synopsis that was shown to me. But Ken, when I first saw his character, I was like, damn, what a dweeb. And I would like to say that I enjoyed the dub. The dub was phenomenal, because usually when it comes to me and dubs, I kind of drop a dub in the first minute or two if I don't like the dub. But I genuinely loved it, and the animation style was really beautiful. There was moments of serenity that I really felt emotional towards. And then there was moments where I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was like having a fever dream while you're high on whatever. It was freaking insane. The soundtrack was absolutely amazing as well. There was moments where there was some nerve-breaking moments that would play these minor based, so like I'm speaking in music terminology, in the key of minor out of nowhere, but also in major at the same time, which was really cool. But I wanted to talk finally about what's to come, because God almighty, the end of this series was something I did not expect. They eventually go to Jin's house where he says, yeah, my house is very cursed and I don't know what's going on. I just have this sense. And when they get there, Momo's like, it's kind of hiding, sort of like going off of what her grandmother did with Turbo Granny earlier on in the episodes. But my god, this first season was such a cliffhanger. And people may say, yeah, just go read the manga. You could find the answers there. Well, I don't want to read the manga, and if you have read the manga, please don't spoil it, because I know that season 2 is going to be released in July of 2025. God bless us being in 2025, and Happy New Year as well. But the cliffhanger that this freaking anime brings is not a bad one, but also not a good one as well. It's kind of in between, because it builds up so much. Jin hears that Ken has a freaking crush on Momo, and that eventually happens, but I want to know what happens to Momo. She's like being strangled underwater in a hot spring at the end of it, and you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna cut it there. We're not even gonna say what happens, because you gotta wait for that, and you gotta wait about a year for that. And that just like was, what the fuck? I can't say that I genuinely enjoyed this anime, but it put me in a whirlwind. It triggered me so hard that I was just like, what the fuck? They even made a D's nuts joke because Ken loses both of his testicles, and it's all craziness, dude. If you have read or watched this series, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just such a wild series that almost seems childish. When I first started watching like the first episode, it felt very like childish, as if a 5-year-old was given the full rights to animate an anime with like the professional studio, everything like that, but in a good way. Like, I'm not dissing the anime. I really mean what I say. That it feels almost like childish in a sense, but I genuinely enjoyed it. But if I had to say which character was my favorite out of this entire series, I would have to say that Seiko was one of my favorites, if I'm gonna be honest. She's just a total and utter badass, and I would definitely love to see her in action one day in this anime, because I would not be lying to say that, yeah, this woman would put up a fight, and I would love to see that so much. That's one of my hopes for either season 2 or season 3, or even a movie if they do that. I do know Jin was talking with Momo about how Jin was basically asking Seiko to take care of this demon that was haunting his house, because, you know, most of his family pretty much died. And, you know, even that was sad. And he acts like it's nothing for some reason. Maybe he showed a lot of emotion towards that. I don't quite remember him showing a lot of emotion, but it just kind of set me off a bit. That being said, I really enjoyed it, especially when Turbo Granny became a little cat doll thing. I really loved that as well. But what did you guys think of this anime? I do know this anime recently released and fully aired to the public in dub, which, you know, like I said, the dub is phenomenal. I know a lot of people have gravitated towards this anime, and for an anime that has such a unique name as Dandaran, they could have named it anything else. But I really would want to know if anyone knows the reason why they named it this anime title. Definitely let me know. Without giving spoilers, I would definitely love to have spoiler-free comments if possible. Definitely let me know why they named it that, because I genuinely would like to know why they named it that, because It was the biggest question, even before watching the first episode, why they would call it Dun Dun Dun. But I have been Nobloth. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment down below your guys' thoughts and opinions. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.